A very good evening and a warm welcome to our first edition of UBC News Tonight on this 5th day of September 2024. I'm Lauryn Masaka Kazimoto and my colleague Muhammad Mugalu in Sign Language Interpretation. We do welcome you. But before we get into our news bulletin this evening, let's first take a look at the top stories tonight. And in our headlines tonight, Museveni meets ODPP and CID, assures them of support in combating crime rate. KCCA stumbles in front of Kosase. Minister Kabanda asked to put her house in order. Xi Jinping opens China-Africa Forum, commits over $50 billion US investment package to Africa. And Ugandan's Olympian Rebecca Cheptegei succumbs to fire incident. Good evening once again. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has urged Criminal Investigations Directorate to speed up with investigations in cases other than letting court to grant bail to offenders on grounds of delayed trial. The president says he sees no need to grant bail to offenders if investigations are done, but to commence with the full trial of the case. He communicated this during the closure of a two-day annual general meeting of CID and Office of the DPPs at the CID headquarters in Chibuli.
Belong to Uganda. Because really when in the last 65 years, when I've been closely involved with the issues of Uganda, what I discover is that many people don't really belong to Uganda in their work, in their thinking. If you do, it is easier to get solutions. And one way of doing it.
Our chief guest arriving.
The Criminal Investigations Directorate, together with the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, have completed the two-day annual general meeting under the theme, Contribution to the Socio-Economic Transformation of Uganda. In his speech at the closure of the ceremony, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni emphasized the need to further embrace technology and the use of digital systems.
Therefore, I would want to advise you people, make use of technical solutions. Discuss them thoroughly. Don't bring business groups, people are lobbying for businesses, then you become their agent. You, instead of being a police officer, you are now an agent of business people. Get the technology. So whenever I get some of this technology, my first question is, can it work? So is the science correct?
President Museveni also reiterated the need to deny bail to offenders. With this, the president asked the CID to speed up investigations, other than letting court grant bail to offenders on grounds of delayed investigations.
The issue of bail, because this issue of bail, if the case is ready for trial, I think is really a big mistake. I can understand if the case is not yet ready for bail after 6 months, you can think of bail. But if the case is ready for trial, why do you not try it and finish it? Especially if it is a case of murder or corruption, like in the case of these politicians, or rape or treason. Why do you concentrate on, even for the accused? I would want to say, you try me quickly and I prove my innocence. So I think the Attorney General should see how to help us on the issue of bail. The Chief Justice, through Chief Justice's instruction, had clarified that applying for bail is a right. You can apply. But granting bail is not a right. It is a decision by the judge.
President, however, applauded the head of CID for the new facelift at the headquarters.
Thank Magambo for this effort of trying to make you belong to Uganda.
Minister for Internal Affairs General Kahinda Otafire addressed to the president the need to enhance the problem of inadequate housing of police officers and the need to increase the CID budget.
You should know that there is need for adequate housing for these agencies. And you remember I promised you to increase the manpower, CID. Your Excellency, CID is understaffed.
The director CID Tom Magambo highlighted the need for more support in addressing cybercrime in the country. In line with the curbing crime, he requested for a crime data analysis center at the CID.
That we also have elements within the criminal networks who are now taking a habit of intimidating, threatening our officers. We have been trying to improve on the process of getting this crime data in time and utilize it to guide decision making. So we want to request you to support us to put up a crime data analysis center.
The head Director of Public Prosecution, Lady Justice Jane Francis Abodo, revealed their focus on prosecution, terrorism and corruption cases.
We are focused now on the war on corruption, on terrorism cases. That is the focus of the Office of the DPP and the CID. Your Excellency, I've realized that once you want a land matter to die, you actually take it to court. Because once it comes to court, then it stays in the system for 10 years, 15 years, and then the rightful people of land actually lose out. So why don't we handle some of these cases in the villages?
The president, however, concurred with the idea of Lady Justice Abodo of handling land issues at a village level.
I like the ideas of Justice Abodo, like the land issues being handled promptly, locally, instead of firing lawyers and so on. That's you study Abodo's idea.
As the next general elections draw close, the chairperson Uganda Electoral Commission, Justice Simon Byabakama, warned the candidates against commercialization of elections.
We have been decrying as a commission, we have been decrying the malpractices that take place during elections, which are a threat to our democracy. Commercialization of elections, that is a terrible thing. I'm told now for you to contest for parliament, you must have a minimum of 500 million shillings, which is not acceptable. And much of this money, I'm told, goes to bribe voters. Bribery is an offense under the electoral laws.
The Attorney General Chiriowa Chiwanuka emphasized the need to make some amendments in laws, among other human enforcement acts.
Rule in 23.4 is saying, bring the person before the court within 48 hours. You don't have to charge. You go to the judge, you say, I have person A in my custody. I believe he has committed an offense. I have this much evidence, but I have 3 or 4 areas that I must check. I am asking you, my Lord, don't release this person from our custody. Allow us to detain them longer. The purpose of that law was for you to account to the court for purposes of habeas corpus, to make sure that once you present him before the court, then that person is under the custody of the court.
Amwa Evanjuko and Deborah Namamonde for UBC.
Chinese President Xi Jinping delivered a keynote speech at an opening ceremony. President Xi called for building all-weather China-Africa community with a shared future in the new era before he announced the $50 billion investment package for Africa, from the People's Republic of China. More than 3,000 leaders, officials and business representatives from China and Africa gathered at the Great Hall of the People on Thursday morning, and we have the details.
More than 3,000 leaders, officials and business representatives from China and Africa gathered at the Great Hall of the People on Thursday morning for the opening ceremony of the 2024 Summit of FOCAC.
In this season of harvest, I am delighted to gather together with so many old and new friends in Beijing to discuss grand plans for China-Africa friendship and cooperation in the new era.
Chinese President Xi Jinping said, after nearly 70 years of hard work, China-Africa relations are at their best in history.
Thanks to nearly 70 years of tireless efforts from both sides, the China-Africa relationship is now at its best in history. With its future growth in mind, I propose that bilateral relations between China and all African countries having diplomatic ties with China be elevated to the level of strategic relations. And that the overall characterization of China-Africa relations be elevated to an all-weather China-Africa community with a shared future for the new era.
China has been Africa's largest trading partner for 15 consecutive years, and Africa is also China's second-largest overseas contracting projects market. President Xi said the trust and friendship will be sustained with more cooperation.
China and Africa account for 1/3 of the world population. Without our modernization, there will be no global modernization. In the next 3 years, China will work with Africa to take the following 10 partnership actions for modernization, to deepen China-Africa cooperation and spearhead the Global South modernization. First, the partnership action for mutual learning among civilizations. Second, the partnership action for trade prosperity. Third, the partnership action for industrial chain cooperation. Fourth, the partnership action for connectivity. Fifth, the partnership action for development cooperation. Sixth, the partnership action for health. Seventh, the partnership action for agriculture and livelihoods. Eighth, the partnership action for people-to-people exchanges. Ninth, the partnership action for green development. 10th, the partnership action for common security.
President Xi said the dream of modernization pursued by China and Africa will surely set off a wave of modernization in the Global South.
China and Africa's joint pursuit of modernization will set off a wave of modernization in the Global South and open a new chapter in our drive for a community with a shared future for mankind. We should jointly advance modernization that is just and equitable. We should jointly advance modernization that is open and win-win. We should jointly advance modernization that puts the people first. We should jointly advance modernization featuring diversity and inclusiveness. We should jointly advance modernization that is eco-friendly. We should jointly advance modernization underpinned by peace and security.
The theme of this year's summit is joining hands to advance modernization and build a high-level China-Africa community with a shared future. Officials say this signifies China's and Africa's vision and ambition to traverse the path towards modernization. Sun Ziyuan, CGTN, Beijing.
Now, the Italian government has expressed interest in managing and processing garbage in Kampala, capital city, to turn it into energy and other valuable products like fertilizers. An Italian professor, Giacomo Ciambatti, is in Uganda after the Italian government officials met the Prime Minister, Robina Nabanja, during her state visit in Rimini, Italy, and agreed to collaborate with Uganda in order to solve the garbage problem in Kampala.
Recently, Kite's landfill collapsed, killing about 35 people, and more are still missing. Since this tragic disaster, the Prime Minister of Uganda, Robina Nabanja, has held several meetings with KCCA officials and other government ministries and departments to find a solution to the problem.
It's a problem in Barara, it's a problem in Guru, everywhere. It's a problem. In fact, I'm wondering why we have taken long to help our people in doing this.
Recently, the Prime Minister of Uganda, Robina Nabanja, during her official state visit to Rimini in Italy, asked the Italian government to help Uganda in identifying Italian companies that can turn garbage into valuable products like energy and organic manure.
So the example of Rimini, the example of Italy, Rome and these other cities in Italy can help us to move this country forward. Because they are saying we can produce power. These other materials can still be used.
Now, an Italian professor from the University of Cattolica, Professor Giacomo Ciambatti, is in Uganda. During a courtesy call to the Prime Minister of Uganda, Robina Nabanja, Professor Ciambatti said an Italian company currently operating in Nairobi, Kenya, is willing to take up the assignment of waste management in Kampala.
Because one of the company which is in the network of E4Impact through Letizia Moratti is called Montello, was also at Rimini. They developed basically a joint venture. We can easily put you in contact also if you need it. They built a big production plant for recycling, so they are supporting all the local company in Nairobi, turning into biofuel, energy, different stuff. So,
apart from the Italian companies, KCCA management is in possession of over 140 proposals to deal with the garbage problem in the city. Professor Ciambatti explained to the Prime Minister why Uganda needs to adopt the Italian model of collecting and sorting out garbage, starting from people's homes.
So at household level, the families must divide, correctly. With the government provided a bin, a small bin for the organic. So they come, let's say, for instance, Monday there is a collection for glass. Tuesday there is collection for organic. So organic is more frequent during the week. The other, like glass, is less.
The Prime Minister wants Uganda to come up with stringent rules against Ugandans who do not want to sort out garbage to ease its management.
At regional level, they provide these bags with a certain code, so they can track that this code is associated with a certain district in the city or neighborhood, even neighborhood, so that when it comes to finding out of wrong pieces there, then you can recognize that is the unit, of the house or the
mixed material.
That has a mixed material. So in that case, you can give the penalty.
Meanwhile, the Prime Minister also received the Chief Executive Officer of the United Bank of Africa, Chiamo Amang. The Prime Minister expressed concern over the commercial banks imposing high interest rates, making it difficult for many Ugandans to access finance.
Because the rate at which you people are borrowing them money is so high that they cannot survive if they add value to our products here. And I want to tell you, Ugandan products are the best in the world. Your loans are too expensive, ma'am.
We are intervening. We are looking at that. As I said, interest rates is also improving. Just 5 years ago, You can't even borrow at 20% in the same Uganda. The problem we have in most African countries, including Uganda, for the lower level borrowing of SME and individuals is paying back what you have taken.
The Prime Minister said even when the government injected 400 billion shillings in commercial banks as agricultural facility, only 9% of the money has been accessed.
So the other day I was trying to find out how many people have accessed this money. 90% since 2009.
Now, members of the Parliamentary Committee on Statutory Authorities and State Enterprises have requested the Minister for Kampala, Hajat Minsa Kabanda, to put her house in order, emphasizing that the authority should not expect support when their operations are in a disjointed manner. The officials had been summoned to appear before this committee to answer the pending query of the Auditor General's report of the 30th of June 2023 about the management of Chitezi landfill.
Officials from Kampala Capital City Authority, the technical and political team led by the Minister for Kampala, Hajat Minsa Kabanda, have appeared before the Parliamentary Committee on Statutory Authorities and State Enterprises to answer pending issue in the Auditor General's report of 2023. The chairperson of the committee, Meda Lubega Segona, said when the Auditor General's office went to Chitezi, it observed that the landfill was overfilled with waste, some equipment was non-functional, and there was no buffer zone.
Landfill in its current state is both an environmental and health risk to the community around and also portrays the authority in bad light. The accounting office explained that Chitezi landfill is almost 100% capacity.
The Executive Director, KCCA, Dorothy Saka, told the committee that on 20th June 2023, she wrote to the PSST Ministry of Finance seeking for budgetary support for solid waste management, saying that Chitezi landfill had exceeded its capacity.
The explanation is not intended to portray that the landfill is still capable, because from that report of the Auditor General in January, we submitted a report to Parliament which clearly shows that Chitezi has exceeded its capacity.
The Minister for Kampala, Hajat Minsa Kabanda, told the committee that according to information from the Prime Minister's office, 35 people died in the Chitezi West slide and 11 are still missing. However, the information the committee got is that 28 people are still missing.
I thought the RDC is part of the task force.
No, according to the Office of the Prime Minister, we are missing 11 people.
11 people.
Yes, that should be on record. We are missing 11 people, not 28.
Okay.
Should we take? Because there is a reason why we want to know the missing number. As we go ahead, it will direct us to know either people you are compensating are rightful people or not.
I want to know from the minister, because whether there are still efforts, because according to him, no fuel, some of the machines have been removed. What is still continuing? Are you continuing with the operation, or these people wish to give up?
That is the office that takes up the issues to do with the displaced persons or those who have faced disaster. So KCCA is taking aspects of the response, the emergency response.
The Deputy Lord Mayor, Lauryn Nyanjura, however, complained that the political wing is not always informed by the technical team. Likewise, the minister also told the committee that she has not yet received a report from KCCA.
For example, there is a letter that was circulating by Dr. Okello about how he had gone on the ground, about how he had warned that a catastrophe was bound to happen.
To the Executive Director, that we should work as a team. And after this incident, I told them that they should go and meet the executive, which they did. Unfortunately, they have not given me any report after that meeting.
Have you
Honorable Chair.
Put your house in order? Because we are a political entity here at Parliament. Do not expect 100% support from us if your people are working in a disjointed manner.
And Chair, to me, the style of management at KCCA seemed to be wanting.
The Director, Public Health, KCCA, Dr. Daniel Okello, told the committee that he wrote a memo to the Executive Director, July 2024, warning about the risky state of Chitezi landfill. This caused debate on what action was taken to avert the August waste slide disaster.
So looking at the weather, looking at the overutilization of the landfill, potentially those two events may have caused the movement and the fish and
the movement came under your watch. You were watching the movements, and the risk was increasing day by day.
KCCA is currently depositing waste in Katikolo, Mukono, however requires a large area away from the communities to establish a dumping place. They clarify that Dundu was to be used to establish a waste-to-energy plant. I'm Navka Farida and Gloria Gwitabinji at Parliament.
The government has launched the Greater Kampala Metropolitan Urban Development Program valued at over 3 trillion Uganda shillings. This 5-year initiative is set to directly impact the region's 5.8 million residents, representing a significant portion of Uganda's urban population and economic activity, with a focus on infrastructural advancements, including road construction. We have more.
Greater Kampala Metropolitan Area Urban Development Program aims to tackle critical issues such as poor infrastructure, flood management, and traffic congestion.
The program objectives will address, among many, is enhanced mobility and connectivity. That is, I say, this is our core stone. And of course, where there is mobility and connectivity, there is already stimulation of job creation through various job aspects and innovations and interventions. Will build the resilience and also strengthen the institution capacities within the Greater Kampala Metropolitan Area.
The implementation of this program aligns with Uganda's climate change commitments, focusing on adaptation of mitigation through resilience, urban infrastructure, and sustainable practices.
By enhancing the institutional capacity of the local government, the ZKMA UDP ensure that we have a better planning, coordination, and management of the urban infrastructure and service. And this in turn supports the development of sustainable and climate change and climate resilient infrastructure and mitigate on the flood risk and other natural disaster risk, improve mobility and promote
The program is in line with the National Resistance Movement Manifesto 2021-2026, reflecting the government's commitment to modernizing infrastructure, particularly roads across the country.
So the NRM government is therefore embarking on a comprehensive strategy to upgrade the transportation systems across the Greater Kampala Metropolitan Area and of course the country at large. To appreciate the uniqueness of the program, like I told you, we are not encouraging compensation except restoration costs of some affected properties.
The program will cover over 300 kilometers of roads within the metropolitan areas. The official launch of this program will be presided over by President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni on the 10th of September 2024 in Kira Municipality. Winnie Ainembabazi Katwire and Rogers Komagum for UBC.
The Minister of State in charge of Energy, Okasai Sindronia Sopolot, has tasked local leaders to jealously guard against vandalism of government infrastructure in the country. Okasai made the call this afternoon while addressing leaders undergoing a 2-week leadership transformation training from 10 districts. The training is taking place at the National Leadership Training Institute, NALI, in Changwanzi, and Oliver Reginald Tambo School of Leadership and Pan-African Center of Excellence, Kaweweta, in Nakaseke District.
Okasai says that it's the duty of all Ugandans to protect government infrastructure, and the local leaders should be on the lookout to address such challenges. He says that the country faces serious challenges when infrastructure is vandalized, yet the local leaders are available in the country.
It is our responsibility as Ugandans. That's where patriotism comes in. You see somebody messing with the pipeline, they are messing with our own infrastructure and the life of Ugandans. The same with electricity.
Okasai asked local leaders not to just demand for power extension in their areas, but rather promote productive use of electricity.
If you tell me my schools don't have electricity, I get interested. But if the other DC is going to say, my house, I want electricity, I become reluctant to listen.
Okasai assured the people of West Nile that the government will soon harmonize power tariffs in the region to be in form with other parts of the country.
And well, the production of electricity for your region is mixed, the local and then the grid. We are working on it to actually bring your tariffs to a national level tariff. You'll be in the next 1 or 2 months paying like anybody in Uganda.
The local leaders undergoing training raised a number of issues pertaining to power in their respective areas.
How it was discovered here in Europe, should we expect some irregularities?
Mining is taking place in Yumbe. Why is the local leaders, or why are local leaders not involved in that process?
Or oil is produced in Uganda, in Europe. But why are the refineries in Tanzania?
Agnes Alaba, Commissioner for Minerals in the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, explained how royalties from minerals are shared among stakeholders.
If gold government is supposed to get 5% of the value of that production, and that 5% that government has got is shared between central government, local government, sub-county and landowners.
The leaders camped at Nali have been drawn from the districts of Chiboga, Masaka, Yumbe, Kibuku and Kibale, while those at Kaweweta for the same cause are from the districts of Nakasongola, Gomba, Mbara, Kalungu and Bara City. The 2-week course that is expected to end on Sunday, 8th September 2024, is organized by the Office of the Prime Minister in conjunction with Ministry of Local Government and the Patriotism Secretariat. The course has attracted over 1,000 leaders from 10 districts camped at the National Leadership Training Institute and Oliver Reginald Tambo School of Leadership and Pan-African Center of Excellence, Kaweweta and Nakaseke District. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni is expected to preside over the closure at Nali, where all the trainees will converge. Shaidat Nasaku, Ismail Kasoha, UBC News.
The Minister of Health, Dr. Jane Ruth Acheng, has called on laboratory scientists in Uganda to take a strong stand on the issues of typhoid and brucellosis as misdiagnoses continue to affect the population. Dr. Acheng made these remarks during the closing ceremony of the East, Central and Southern Africa Global Fund and ASLM regional training for the biomedical engineers and laboratory scientists in equipment management and maintenance and EQA panel production.
According to the statistics from the Ministry of Health, Uganda has faced over 20 outbreaks in the past 5 years. Despite these challenges, most of the outbreaks have been contained within 48 to 72 hours. This achievement is a testament to the robust integrated quality assurance program that has been developed and implemented across the health systems. Dr. Jane Ruth Acheng emphasized that building a regional capacity is key in strengthening health systems and crucial in meeting emerging health challenges on the continent.
The team from the laboratory that you need to come out and make a very strong statement to the population of Uganda on the issue of typhoid and brucellosis. And I'm repeating it again because our population are being fleeced of money and you are ending up with antimicrobial resistance because we are treating what is not right.
As the training that you have attained, it should not be just to appear on your CV, just like that. It should be to make you or to give you an impetus to do more when you go back. Build a team around you, form a critical mass, transform the laboratory services, aim to make sure that you have the milestones in your country that will not only just have the accreditations and all these things, nice fancy words we are talking about, but it will translate to better services, translate to quality and cost cutting in your country, that you don't depend on foreigners to come and do everything for you.
Dr. Acheng highlighted that quality assurance in diagnostics is not only vital for accurate health care services, but is also essential in responding to public health emergencies.
I am happy to mention that our vision extends beyond our national borders. We believe that quality assurance in diagnostics should not be confined to one's country alone. That is why we are committed to extending our capacity and expertise to the region. Our goal is to enable more countries to provide proficiency testing within their own networks and to support them in attaining ISO 17043 accreditation.
Honorable Minister, we want to have our own accreditation body such that we can be able to accredit our labs and accredit more, because of the resources that are needed to accredit. One lab just needs 15,000, and we have over 3,000 labs in Uganda. So with support from partners, from government of Uganda, we've secured funds to be able to have our own international national accreditation body that will be called UGANAS, and we are fast tracking it, and we promise by 2025 we shall be up and running.
A number of biomedical experts and laboratory scientists from over 14 African countries have been trained in equipment maintenance and external quality assessment, panel production, EXA, peer-to-peer lab training, attracted several dignitaries from various embassies, as well as supporting and implementing partners. It is important to note that Uganda's Integrated External Quality Assessment Scheme has been accredited under ISO 17043, demonstrating a commitment to maintain the highest standards of quality in diagnostic services. Zahra Abigaba, UBC News.
I don't make you happy. All that time you would be complaining. I'll call you every day. Yeah, yo, baby, don't know.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21 hash and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Once upon a time, there lived identical twins who gave birth to beautiful princes and princesses.
Their mothers gave their babies' bodies a lot of care by applying on their skin with Baby Junior jelly.
Though dried-out chariots and everyone would admire their glowing skin. Fun fact, Baby Junior prevents diaper rash, dry and sensitive skin.
Moms all over Africa love Baby Junior jelly. Baby Junior's the skin. No more worries anymore. Baby Junior.
Baby Junior.
The Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs and the UPDF, in conjunction with the Ministry of Internal Affairs and other sister security agencies, present the first Kampala Defense and Security Expo in memory of the late Honorable General Aronda Nyakairima, as we celebrate his selflessness, bravery and Pan-Africanism. Activities will include an exhibition, memorial lectures by distinguished speakers, and Thanksgiving prayers to crown the 3-day event. The keynote speaker will be the President of Uganda, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. The event will take place from 10th to 12th September 2024 at the Commonwealth Resort Hotel at Munyonyo. For more details on the accreditation process for this event, please call the UPDF's Head of Protocol on 0772 696070 or 0757 999544.
Do you need data collection services, data analysis and reporting, monitoring and evaluation systems? Then contact Mold Technologies, a professional research firm that has provided many organizations with timely research solutions for over 15 years. For more information, visit www.mt.co.ug or call us on 0704 913 399 or 0782 602 963. Visit our office in Kampala at Sayuni Complex in Tinda. Mood Technologies, your professional research firm.
Sometimes the pressure of paying taxes can feel overwhelming. The temptation to cut corners and under-declare your income may creep in. But before you make that choice, consider the cost. Under-declaring taxes might seem like an easy way out, but the consequences can be severe. URA offers resources and payment plans to help you manage your taxes. You can pay in installments if it's difficult to pay in full. Transparency is key. Avoid penalties and unexpected liabilities by reporting everything accurately. To report corruption, call URA on our toll-free lines. Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together.
Welcome back from that break, and we're glad that you're still with us on UBC News Tonight. Now, the Local Government Finance Commission is advocating for revitalization in the tourism sector to enable it to fetch reasonable revenue to the country. To realize this, a grant of 1.9 billion shillings was allocated to the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities in the financial year 2023-2024 to aid the implementation of local government programs. This was during the negotiation process between the Local Government Finance Commission and the Local Government Finance Commission for conditional grants.
Local Government Finance Commission has spent 9 days negotiating with line ministries on conditional grants for programs to be implemented for the local government for financial year 2025-2026. The ministries are that of Health, Education and Sports, Works and Transport, Trade, Agriculture, Lands, Water and Environment, and Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities. During negotiations between the Local Government Finance Commission, together with the negotiations team and the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, the Commission noted the need to boost the tourism industry to enable it to perform better than the previous financial years.
The Ministry, in terms of performance on what we are good last year, was the worst. It did perform at only 29%. So out of the 100 undertakings we are going to undertake, only 29 were implemented.
The Commission is optimistic that the 1.9 billion Ugandan shillings grant allocated to the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities will facilitate the implementation of various programs for the local government. Among the undertakings discussed,
when we had the negotiations, the Ministry undertook provide some money for the offices of the tourism services in local governments. They provided 1.9 billion, which was allocated to 176 local governments.
Among the undertakings discussed was the introduction of regional wildlife centers to promote domestic tourism. The Ministry of Tourism was tasked to implement this to fetch revenue for the local government.
Regional zoos, we have not seen any, and we are still wondering why. Each year, we see schools trekking to the Entebbe Wildlife Center.
Cities in Uganda don't make Ugandans happy. We are not happy with the status of our city, including Kampala. We are hit by garbage. You don't see any greenery. Open space are sold off.
The chairperson, Local Government Finance Commission, Isaac Isanga Msumba, has tasked the Ministry of Tourism to improve the physical appearance of cities that will attract more tourists in the country.
We take your portfolio very seriously in the overall development of tourism of this country. You have to be interested in the road infrastructure, you have to be interested in the security, you have to be interested in propaganda for this country.
The Commission also raised concerns of compensation of communities affected by wild animals. The Ministry of Tourism said the compensation process has to go through some procedures. However, some communities were compensated.
Compensating people affected by wildlife from national parks. The ministry certainly is concerned because as the ministry we are concerned with the protection of our people. We want our people to coexist with the wildlife.
The outcomes of these negotiations inform the ministerial policies that guide program implementation in the local governments. Irene Faith Nantongo, Mary Namukose, UBC News.
UBC News Tonight takes a very short break, but return with more stories. Don't move an inch.
Uganda fire! Endiva fire! Our border fire! Uganda! Thank you for showing your fire! Has Nambole Stadium opened its doors once again? Fire! While you were moving in, you were the 12th player. When Uganda Cranes needed you the most. Fire! Through our famous wins against Tobacunda and our unlucky losses, you stood firm, supporting even louder. Now, as Uganda Cranes take on South Africa and Congo this September, South Sudan in October, and play our second legs against South Africa and Congo in November, bring even more fire! Because with your support, Uganda Cranes is unstoppable! Uganda Fire! Proudly brought to you by MTN, the #1 supporter of Uganda Cranes. Together, we are unstoppable.
It's true what people say, that when I wash and you wash your hands with soap, we'll have less infections as Ugandans. After all, it's hands that handle money. It's hands that feed us. Hands that prepare soil for farming. Hands that we use to learn. And hands that we use for fun.
When I wash and you wash, it means clean hands for all. So, wash your hands with soap and clean water regularly to keep away infections and disease-causing germs. This message is from the National Hand Washing Secretariat with support from UNICEF.
Indomie Instant Noodles is available in 3 flavors of chicken, beef, and vegetable. Buy your Indomie Instant Noodles in supermarkets and dukas near you anywhere across Uganda. Indomie Instant Noodles, Uganda's best loved noodles.
Welcome back from the break, and now into the business scene. Economic experts have urged small and medium-sized enterprises in Uganda to prioritize essential business practices such as proper record keeping and business registration to remain competitive and resilient in the market. These remarks were made during the Uganda Annual SME Conference and Expo held at Speak Resort, Munyonyo, organized by Strathmore Business School and the Association of Consecrated Women in Eastern and Central Africa.
Economic experts say that some of these small and medium-sized enterprises don't survive their first, second and third birthdays. This is because they don't have proper book record keeping and also they don't have formal registration, which leads to difficulties in securing loans from commercial banks for start-up or expansion purposes.
So we have speakers who are sharing around emerging opportunities where they can harness new businesses. They are also going to get information on how to navigate the regulatory challenges that they have. They are also going to learn a little bit more on issues like tax and how to navigate some of those issues. They're also going to learn about leveraging technology to enhance or to access new opportunities.
You are a small business. Don't go into fancy kind of living. Don't live because I want to. I've seen a lot of people, you can walk to work. And I see very lots of people really doing this as a real thing. When you see 3 people on a border, it's not because there were no borders. But they are trying to share that cost. So they are very, very rational.
Experts at the conference emphasized that SMEs should leverage technology to improve their business operations and embrace continuous skilling as part of their growth strategy. Dr. Fred Muhumuza highlighted that many SMEs fail because they are brought to start their businesses before building a solid customer base to finance the loans.
You come from the same compound or similar village, 5 cars, each one of you is one in that car. Why don't we learn from the bottom of the pyramid? But also saying the bottom of the pyramid, please be realistic to your business. Don't load big costs on it. Don't put your children where you can't afford.
And what are we trying to do? We are trying to build the capacities of enterprises so that these enterprises can grow and keep creating employment for the youth and keep creating employment for the women.
The inability of SMEs to target potential customers, insufficient skills, and poor market access continue to hinder their success. This year's conference, themed Empowering Ugandan SMEs and Social Enterprises for the Future, provides a platform for sharing insights and strategies. The event is organized by Strathmore Business School in collaboration, a body composed of sisterhood dedicated for coaching, training, and mentoring SMEs to bridge gaps in social entrepreneurship through various skilling projects. Crispus Arinitwe, UBC News.
Thank you, Crispus Arinitwe. Now, a workshop organized at the Operation Wealth Creation headquarters in Kamocha brought together children of veterans to train them in securing self-help funds through the Grow Women Enterprises project. The initiative, funded by the World Bank through the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, supports women entrepreneurs in various businesses.
The project, 6 banks have been authorized to provide loans to women entrepreneurs, veterans, children, and associations like Jenga Taifa Uganda and the Uganda Military Children Network participated in the workshop.
Processing fee
private sector foundation in Uganda ne Ministry of Gender ne bagamba banks mu Uganda ezituuka ku muntu wa wansi oba ku mukyala.
Irene Nachejwe, chairperson of Ushindi Sacco, expressed gratitude to the government for allowing veterans' children to use their association membership as loan security.
Ushindi Sacco, twebaza bank, twebaza ne Ministry of Gender ne government. Ntibakkiriza nti nga Ushindi Sacco tusobola okuteerayo akabega kulikomendinga bannaffe mu bank eri ne bafuna ssente zino.
Naguja Maria, chairperson of Jenga Taifa Uganda, thanked the President and General Salimu Sali for the opportunity provided, but highlighted the challenges faced by the veterans' children.
The President of Uganda, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, our grandpa, to help us as the children of the soldiers, at least for us, they reduce on the interest.
But there are challenges we are facing as children of soldiers. So
We request His Excellency and the team concerned to look into our challenges, because most of us have businesses.
Nawebale Phoebe of the Uganda Veterans Children Foundation urged the government and banks to simplify the loan application process for women entrepreneurs under the Grow Project.
Sente zile za grow zajja betuulira bingi, sente za government, sente zajja kuyamba muntu wa wansi, zajja kuyamba bakyala, eziba zajja kuyamba bakyala mu butuufu. Emisoso emingi egyo tusaba gisooke giveewo.
Naguja also appealed to the government to assist women in accessing international markets and provide training in product branding.
The government to help us with the market or marketing our products, such that we can get market from local ground to international ground.
Marketing itself is very good, but it also depends on the quality of your product. Oluse ebintu byetunda byokka. Ekintu bakirina omutindo kijja kukola ki? Kijja kukola. So tutaddewo emisomo nga twagala tupostinge skills z'abakyala mu bintu bye bakola.
Crispus Arinitwe, Jamil Sekaja, UBC News.
And now into the world of sports. Ugandans woke up to sad news of the passing of Rebecca Cheptegei, who passed away at a hospital in Kenya after suffering severe burns in a brutal attack by her partner. She was 33 years old.
Big marathon runner Rebecca Cheptegei tragically died on Thursday morning, 4 days after she was doused in petrol and set on fire by her boyfriend in Kenya. Cheptegei, who represented Uganda in the Paris Olympics, suffered burns covering more than 75% of her body in the horrific attack on Sunday. She succumbed to her injuries in the intensive care unit of Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital in Eldoret, Kenya. The cause of death was reported as multiple organ failure. The Minister for Sports, Peter Ogwang, expressed deep regret over the incident, calling it an unfortunate tragedy.
We are indeed saddened. Yesterday we had discussions, and I was briefed by my minister that he had very good engagement with his counterparts in Kenya, and where the government of Kenya was trying to do all it could to take care of of Rebecca, to transfer her to Nairobi for better care and attention. So we were hopeful that those efforts would yield fruits. But today, early morning, I received information from the General Secretary of the Federation of Athletics in Uganda, and they told me that unfortunately they couldn't transfer Rebecca to Nairobi. Her kidneys were failing, and ultimately she succumbed to the burns and the failures that came with that.
Actually, what makes them go to Kenya, some of them, is because of the issues of managers. It's one of the core issues, which I'm actually going to talk about it. But not that they're looking for training facilities. No. As far as I'm concerned, the world record holder, the Olympic champion, is here and trains in Uganda. And I'm talking about Joshua Cheptegei. When have you heard that Joshua goes to train in Kenya?
Those who saw Cheptegei in Paris describe her as a joyful person who loved both people and her country.
But it really is about us as human beings and in our societies and how we handle each other in relationships. And how the society has got to teach everybody else going into relationships about how to deal with other human beings, because violence among spouses is not a new thing, especially in our societies in Africa. So we know quite a bit about what happens with this, and it's either way, it's male and female.
We commensurate with the family of Rebecca Cheptegei, her colleagues she was training with and competing with, all our siblings and our parents. We commensurate with them and the members of the athletics fraternity, because Rebecca Cheptegei has been one of our excellent athletes, an Olympiad, who was with us in Paris during this year's Olympic Games.
A report from local administrators indicate that Cheptegei and her ex-partner had been involved in a dispute over a piece of land. The minister emphasizes that the Athletics Federation, along with police, are actively investigating the incident. Cheptegei is the third prominent sportswoman to be killed in Kenya since October 2021. The Ugandan government is working with the Kenyan authorities to arrange for the return of her body for burial. Ngabo Amon, reporting for UBS TV.
And may her soul rest in peace. In more sports news this evening, City Oilers Basketball Club has won its 10th consecutive National Basketball League crown after completing a 4-0 final series sweep of Kampala International University Titans. We have the details.
The MTN Arena Logogo was the venue for the Game 4 of the Men's National Basketball League final between City Oilers and Kampala International University Titans. Being Game 4 and with the City Oilers playing in the blue jersey already 3-0 up and needing just one game to win the league, the trophy was at hand in case of such an eventuality. It indeed turned out to vindicate the organizers because City Oilers won the game 64-51 to complete a 4-0 series win that brought it the 10th consecutive National Basketball League title. In the Men's National Basketball League individual accolades, Livingston Basketball Club won the Fair Play Award. The best rebounder was Pauti Azias Kikomba of Kampala Rockets Basketball Club, while Namuongoza Peter Cheng top scored. Kampala International University Titans Tembo Kasereka was the best three-point shooter, while City Oilers Titus Luwal won the best defender and also the most valuable player prize.
Congratulations, Titus! Well done, scooping all those accolades. Well done, well played, well won. Thank you for keeping the standards high there for the basketball.
In the women's category, the best of 7 series is now tied at 2-2 after a Game 4 60-53 JKL Lady Dolphins victory over Uganda Christian University Lady Cannons. The two teams go again on Friday.
And with that, our first edition of UBC News Tonight has come to an end. But do join us at 10 o'clock for our second edition with more stories. I'm Lauryn Masaka Kazimoto and my colleague Muhammad Mugalu. We will see you at 10.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
You used to tell me that I don't make you happy. All that time you would be complaining. I'll call you every day, yeah yo, baby dondolo.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000 or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21 hash and select daily or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Qualified, professional, and compassionate doctors talking real solutions to real health problems.
This message is from the Ministry of Health with support from partners.
Hello, our dear viewers. I'm Dr. David Wambi from the Department of Burns and Plastic Surgery, Chirudu National Referral Hospital. With me today, I'm with my senior.
My name is Dr. Rosa Lenyo, Senior Lecturer with Makerere University, and I also work at Chirudu National Referral Hospital.
So our topic today, we're going to have a discussion about burns and plastic surgery at Chirudu National Referral Hospital. So the type of surgeries that are done under our department are quite many. However, we shall list a few of them. We handle burn victims, and for those we do both surgeries and medical management. We also receive patients who are victims of accidents from different parts of the country. For those, we do a lot of reconstruction, usually with big wounds, deep wounds. And then we also have patients who come in with cancers. For those, we also offer them surgical services in form of reconstruction and plastic services. And then we also have clients that come in with wounds that are not healing. They come in with tumors, come in with swellings that need correction. Others come in with the issues with their bodies that are not, appealing to them. They have parts that are not matching, or that don't give them a very nice appearance, the way they would want to look. So we try to offer these corrective surgeries as part of our service scope in Chirudu. Yes.
Yeah, and today we are going to give our audience details of what happens with burns patients. So first of all, the common type of burns that we see are scald burns. These are burns that are caused from hot liquid, hot tea, hot porridge, hot milk, hot beans at home, and majority of these are usually children. So, and the next group that we get are those from fire. Either somebody set the house on fire, or people siphoning fuel, there's petrol fire, or people that are selling petrol, they keep the petrol in the house and then this catches fire. Then the other group of people is electrical burns. Usually this involves young men that are working in buildings. Their protection is not very adequate, so they get electrical burns. Then there's another group that is the chemical burns. Majority of chemical burns are arson, meaning that people pour on each other where they have grudges. They do sort it by pouring on each other chemicals, which causes very extensive burns. And of course, the first thing that is important to know about burns is the first aid that we have to do, whether at home or at place of work, is to first pour water. Water will cool any type of burn. And of course, the first thing is to get the person away from the burn area. If it's electricity, you must make sure you're also safe. Before you touch them, you must protect yourself. If it's liquid, you pour on them water. So water is the most important first aid that we have to do in burns. And Dr. Wambi is going to tell us about the way that we grade these burns when they come to the hospital.
Yes, so we grade burns in a way that we look at how deep or to what level the injury has happened, looking at the skin and the layers of tissue under the skin. So the simplest burns are what we call first degree burns. And here what happens, you just have a small injury to your skin whereby the skin stays intact, but then you have a bit of a patch or discoloration. There is no blistering, there is no peeling off, and that is the very first degree of burns. And then after that, we have a second degree burns. Those ones, they endanger the skin. So that you have peeling off of the skin, blistering, and then the burns will literally appear pink, and they are very, very painful. That's the second degree. And then the third degree of burns is now goes deeper than the skin. So you have the burns looking a bit whitish, with some bit of pain. And then the fourth degree, the most severe one, is when the burns are so deep, the whole skin has been burnt off, peeled off. You can see bone, you can see fat, you can see muscle, or anything that is deep. And those ones are usually dark, like charcoal black. And most patients don't have pain because most of the pain sensation has been, the tissues that have sensation have been damaged.
Yes, and it's important for us as burns doctors to grade these burns, because each treatment we focus differently. And as Dr. Wambi said, we look at how deep the burns has gone, but also we look at how much area it has covered. You know, we divide the body into 100%. So, and if it burns the whole arm in an adult, we call that 9%, because that helps us to know who is more seriously sick than the other, and then what management we should give them. Some of them will definitely need surgery, some of them will recover. And of course, as we all know, when a person is burnt, they lose the functions of the skin. The skin is there to protect us from losing a lot of water. So once you're burnt, much of your skin is burnt, then your body loses a lot of water, which actually makes you as dehydrated as somebody who has diarrhea or is vomiting. And then the skin protects us from infection. So the more skin you lose, the more you are susceptible to infection. The skin helps to regulate our body temperature. So if you don't have skin, then your temperature goes very low, and that stimulates many other abnormal functions in the body. So the skin is the most organ that gets injured in the burns. And therefore, Dr. Wambi is going to tell us the different surgeries that we, or treatment that we offer, or which group of these patients will actually need to be done surgery on.
Yes, so following a burn injury and following the assessment with the grading system we have discussed before. So there are burns that can be managed without surgery, like the first degree we talked about. Most of them, can heal in a few days, 2 weeks maximum. And usually the tissues are able to stay intact, no skin loss. For the second degree burns, they can also heal without surgery if given time and looked after well. You prevent infection, you make sure there's good hydration, pain is well managed. Okay, so the burns can also heal in a period of about a week to maximum 2 weeks. However, the deeper the burns, the more the demand for more aggressive intervention. So for third degree burns and fourth degree burns, it's really impossible for the wounds to just heal without any surgical intervention. So at that level, like it or not, surgery will be done.
When the burns is very deep and is around the arm, inside we have muscles, blood vessels. So the skin, once it burns, it loses its elasticity. So it becomes very tight, and it compresses the vessels and nerves that are inside. So sometimes people, when the patient arrives, we have to take them to theater and release that tension. So that's one of the surgeries that we do to save the hand, because if we don't release that on the leg or on the arm or on the chest, then either if it's on the arm, the patient may lose the arm just because this tight skin is blocking the blood from flowing, or they will lose the leg if we don't release, or they will stop breathing because the chest is so tight. So those are the types of surgeries we do. And because most of these patients come to Chirudu are the severe, the ones that will need their skin replaced.
The commonest surgery we do is skin grafting, and that involves a transfer of skin from one part of the body to the part that has been severely burnt and deprived of skin. The surgery is a major operation, cannot be done in a normal routine hospital setting. You need specific equipment, you need the expertise, and that's why the department is available to offer such specialized services.
Like we said, Chirudu is the only major burns unit in the country. It is for government, and all the services are free. Of course, occasionally we may not have some things and you have to buy. So skin grafting, as I said, we use the other skin, and we harvest skin from the other part of the body to put there, but we need this skin large, so we have machine that we can pass through this skin so that this skin is enlarged 3 or 4 times, and we are able to cover a larger area. Also, the machine to harvest, many of the hospitals have small ones, but we have electrical or battery-driven machine that can allow us harvest extensive skin in a very short time, because this skin is life-saving to the patients. Without skin, a patient cannot survive for long if the skin lost is more than 40% of their body surface area.
Okay, so let's go in for a short break. When we return, we shall discuss more about the topic. Thank you very much.
This message is from the Ministry of Health with support from partners.
You are watching the Doc Talk Show. You are watching the Doc Talk Show.
This message is from the Ministry of Health with support from partners.
Before we went for a break, we've been talking about burns. And I know many of us are asking ourselves, why burns? Because burn is one of the very common injuries that we get in this country. And especially in the urban slums, where the risk is very high to children and their mothers at home. And this risk is because usually we have one room and we don't have a designated place for cooking. So you find the same place where children run around is the same place where we are cooking. And then also we tend to put hot food or flask with hot water on top of a small place. So when children are playing around or children starting to crawl, that is a very high risk for them. So they tend to pull these things and get injured. Studies have shown that the number 5 causes of admission for children in the hospital is as a result of burns. So it's a very common factor that we need to address. And the second thing is that the injury as a result of burns takes a very long time. People are admitted for a very long time in the hospital. And this does not only affect the child, but the whole family, because every resources will be targeted to care for this child. The other is access to care for burns is still limited in our area. So you find most of the children present late for care because burns is one of the diseases that you treat per hour. And the outcome, the earlier you start the treatment within an hour that the child or the person has got burned, the better the outcome. So maybe there are some things you can add on why it's important for us to talk about burns.
Yes, so it's very important to note that burns are a form of trauma, and it ranks second after road traffic accidents, and also the second most cause of deaths, trauma-related deaths in our country, and mostly occurring in children and women, and also the men. Also, it's also important that these burns occur within our homesteads where we stay. We live with us, burns stay with us in the kitchen, in the bathroom, as you're playing with hot things, electricity as you're playing around with unstable connections, and also as we play around with acids, chemicals, batteries at home. These are all risks for us to sustain burns. And also this burden does not stop at the wound and the pain, but it's a lifelong burden. It leaves you with a permanent mark that you will have for the rest of your life. If you're lucky to resume work, that will be an advantage for you, but most times the scars, the deformities, You may end up even losing a body part because of the burns, either a hand, a leg, a finger, or it may leave you with a very, very deep wound with no muscle, and then you have a body part that doesn't work with enough strength and the likes. Yes.
Yeah, and at Chirudru, 3/4 or 75 out of 100 patients that we admit are children and women. And the other risk factor is epilepsy. And so people who have epilepsy and are not on treatment, when they try to go near fire or when they cook, then they start convulsing or fitting. And when they do that, they are not conscious to realize that there is fire. So they get burnt, and usually you find the whole finger is burnt off. So this group of people will need to get their treatment so that they are protected from fitting. And majority of the epileptic burnt patients are usually young ladies because that is the age for cooking. So that's why it's important for us to talk about this dreadful disease.
Yes. Also, as we discuss about burns, it's important to know that the care for burns is quite comprehensive, and it involves a lot of things which are very expensive, which are very sophisticated, and may not be readily available in our localities where we stay. So it's of great importance that we take precautions, try to avoid burns with the simplest means possible. Because as we talk about the pain, the wounds, the contractures and the likes, it's also important that the burns also have a psychological component. If a child gets burnt when they are young, they don't understand anything. As they grow with these scars, this deformed face, they will still struggle to fit in the community. So it's better while prevented. And even us as adults, if you become non-functional because of the burns, your source of living is compromised. So it will be hard for you to sustain your family, to sustain your network of dependents. So rather to prevent burns than, to fall victim of the burden.
Yeah, and as you was saying that many people sometimes wonder when they bring the patient that is burnt to the hospital, they wonder why these patients after sometimes die. If the person is extensively burnt, the burn itself will kill them. Also, the loss of skin means that they become so cold, and that cold can also affect them and sometimes lead to death. So if somebody has lost their skin more than 40% or most of the parts of the body is burnt, we've talked about skin graft before, but sometimes it is difficult to get skin from the same person to cover the rest of the body. That's why even the plastic team has been discussing the issue of organ transplant, because we need to transplant skin. Time ago, we were using placenta membrane, which are collected from all the placentas that are delivered. They are treated and they are banked to be used to cover, to reduce pain, to protect this patient from infections and all that. We can also get skin from somebody that has passed on, as long as they had given a consent that when they die, they should harvest the skin. So we've been building ourselves that we should start a skin bank, because the skin that is harvested from a dead person is little in the thighs. When the person is not feeling, it doesn't disfigure the body. And of course, this person has to be tested for all other infections. And this skin, once kept in the skin bank, can be kept for about 5 years. And this will be used to save life. So we hope and pray that as the issue progresses, we need the skin bank established. At least one skin bank in the country will help us save some burnt people. Yeah.
Yes, also as you note, when you get burnt, depending on where the injury is, sometimes it's very difficult for us to transfer skin from other parts of the body, like the thighs, the arms, the back, the buttocks, the stomach. Sometimes it's very, very hard for you to get enough skin to entirely cover the entire wound surface area. And because of that insufficiency, there is need to have something from out, either from another person donating to your skin, like doctor has said, or use of artificial skins. However, the cost for an artificial skin is not comparable to our source of livelihood or our income. So it's not an option we can say tomorrow, the other day. However, the issue of the skin bank is something that we can, support each other, donate skin. Mothers can donate skin to their children.
Yeah.
Dead people can donate skin for others that fall victim of such injuries, and a lot more. We've had people talk about tilapia skin, but doctor will explain.
I mean, there's tilapia skin. I've had people ask me and say, what about the tilapia skin? But this is a study that has so far been done in South America. It hasn't yet been go through all the phases of testing for us to start using tilapia skin. But I know also it's a favorite delicacy. It's rich in protein, so people will not want to buy tilapia without its skin. But I know when science proves that it's effective, it will also be used. Now we'll go for a short break, and from there we'll give you stories of how people are punishing children using bans.
This message is from the Ministry of Health with support from partners.
You are watching the Doc Talk Show. You are watching the Doc Talk Show.
This message is from the Ministry of Health with support from partners.
Welcome back, viewers. We are still talking about burns care at our only burns unit at Shirudu National Referral Hospital. I was just giving you a story that we've had a group of children that when they pick money, because currently we have a grandmother, had left some food and had gone out. So the child, a 7-year-old girl, served this food and had to eat the food. So when she came back, she was so angry, tied both hands, and then pushed it in fire. So both hands are now like this, and the child is unable to hold anything, has lost the little finger, and this is 4 months that the child is being brought to the hospital. So it's very sad, because this can't go to school, has only 2 digits on each finger. She's not able to write. So reconstructing and repairing this child will take forever. As an adult, you cannot condemn somebody in such manner. And I think we've seen several before where fathers, a child stole 1,000 shillings and he got to the hand and pushed it on fire. That's so that you don't steal again. It looks a simple act, but it is like you've killed the child's future. So I think we need to think about what we do. Burns is not a weapon that we carelessly use for punishing children. And we were talking about skin graft, because this child will have to have several skin graft, and my colleague had already started talking about skin graft. Skin graft simply means it's a procedure that we do to try and get the deep wound to heal. So it's a procedure that is done in the operating room. And before this patient is taken to the operating room, we must make sure we have identified that there is an area that we are going to harvest skin from. And commonly we harvest from the thigh because it is easy to use the machine there, and it is also easy to dress it. So when we identify that, we discuss with the patient to know, because where you remove the skin heals by itself. You don't need to graft it, but it leaves a scar, and this scar in some people is better, in some people it may look so obvious. So once you have consented and the patient has accepted, or the guardians have accepted, we must make sure that the blood level is okay, and this patient is taken to theatre. Once the patient is taken to theatre, is given an anesthetic drug, which popularly is known as caliform, and this patient goes to sleep. Once the patient is going to sleep, the surgeons or the doctors scrub to make sure they are very sterile, they will not transfer. They dress and cover their mouth so that the bacteria does not fall in the wound or fall on the skin. So we have machines that we use. The first thing we do is to harvest the skin from the normal place. So this skin, the knife or the blade that we use to harvest the skin are very sharp. They are single use. So, and it has millimeters on them, and it depends on the depth of the skin you need. You can adjust on that knife the millimeter or the thickness that you want. And then to harvest that skin, you at least have to be two. You cannot do it alone. One person has to stretch the skin and the other person has to hold the knife and harvest the skin. So you get one nice long sheath. That is first stage. So after you've harvested it, you have to put it in a solution that is similar to the body. The same ones we put in the drip. So we put it there for a few minutes, and then after that, it goes through another machine which is called a mesher. And the job of that skin is to enlarge, because if the wound is three size of this hand, like two of them like this, you don't have to harvest the same size of skin. You might, if you can harvest one and then you pass it through a machine to the times two, so that this one can now cover an area that is for two of the skin. And these machines are very expensive, and most of them are found in a very few hospitals. It is free in Chirudu. The patients don't pay for it, although it's very expensive. So once we have meshed the skin, we then clean the wound and make sure that the wound is very uniform. So we scrape it so that it's all at the same level. Of course, the patient is not feeling pain. They are either asleep or we paralyze halfway so that the area is not paining. So once we do that, clean the area of the wound very aggressively so that it's very clean and nice. Then you put the skin over this wound, and once you've put the skin, you have to fix it down. You can either fix it with the staples, which are like stapling paper, but we have special staples for skin, or you can stitch them. And once you have stitched them down with thread, they are now laying firm, because for them to survive in the first 24 hours, fluids which are rich in food has to come from the wound to the skin. So you have to make sure that this skin is not moving. So you fix it, and then you cover it and tie it in that place. And the patient will not move that area at least for 7 days, because blood vessels will develop from the wound to the skin. And that happens about the 3rd to the 4th day. So if you move it, then you will disrupt those small vessels there. So you keep the patient resting. After 5 days to 7 days, you can then open the dressing to see if the skin is still alive. Where you removed, it is very thin, so the skin grows back by itself. It regenerates, and you don't have to graft it. And both these are now 2 wounds, so you have to make sure that this patient is well hydrated, so they are drinking a lot, make sure their blood is good level, and make sure they are eating well, because this graft you have put here needs to eat to survive. And once it has taken, where you harvested heals within 10 days if there are no complications. And after 10 days, you can actually go and harvest from the same place to cover another area, and it will still grow back. So that is the benefit of having these machines, because without these machines, you cannot tell how thin, because if you remove it deep, then this will create a wound. But if you have a good machine, this will be sliced, very thin slices. And so that's what we call skin graft.
So what next after someone gets a burn? A lot really happens to see that this patient, gets out of this acute phase, starts the recovery journey until when they are fit to go home. And burns care is quite extensive. It involves so many teams. It involves the plastic surgeons. It involves the nurses team. We have the theater team, the nurses, the anesthesiologists and the anesthesia team. We have physicians. We have pediatricians, mostly for the children, to come and support in general care. We have the nutritionists, occupational therapists, and so many more.
And
so the team is
yes.
quite big. However, when someone gets a burn, our care targets at restoring the functions of the skin. And like Dr. said, fluid loss is one of them. So how do we compensate for that? We try to rehydrate using standard calculations. How much fluids you need, we try to replace that volume. And also, you know, the skin is responsible for temperature regulation. So not to make sure that the patient keeps warm, we make sure that we dress these wounds on time so that the patient, you know, can keep warm and not die from hypothermia, which is very low body temperature. And we also try to see that pain is well managed so that the patient doesn't have to traumatize the wounds more, itching, scratching the wounds, rolling down. So we try to make the patient as comfortable as possible through our pain management strategies. And then also as the wounds start to heal, they put a lot of metabolic requirements on the body. So the patient has to be fed adequately, and not just regular feeding of breakfast, lunch, and supper, but there should be a specific nutrition program, very high protein diet for this child, for this man, for this lady, so that at least the body receives what it needs to rebuild back the skin and to rebuild back the different components that have been damaged. So feeding is very, very important in managing a burns patient. And if you miss out on that step, patients lose a lot of weight, they become so small. And you know, when you get malnourished, on the other side, also the wounds don't heal. So it's a very, very core component in our management of burns patient. And then also the mind. When someone gets burnt, they always regret, why did I leave the candle burning? Probably it's a one-off, kept petrol in the house. They keep regretting, why did I leave petrol in the house? Or, you know, why did I leave a kettle of boiling water on my veranda? My kid is burnt. So it involves a lot of psychological torture, and all these can go away with patient engagement through counseling sessions with the counselor. And then we also do wound care, because you know, in the community, when someone gets burnt, there are a lot of things we do. You pour sugar, you pour cooking oil, you burn a sack, and you know, pour the ash on the patient. So by the time patient comes in, the wounds are very dirty, they have been contaminated. So it's up to us to clean them up, to see that the infection doesn't enter, and also to see that for those that have come in late and the wounds are dirty, we may have to give you some medication like antibiotics to prevent this infection, or dry up the pus. But if the wounds are handled well in the acute phase, they are really, really clean wounds. We just have to compensate for the functions of the skin. Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on what you're saying about first aid. We've been in the community and we found that people use urine and they go around looking for old ladies' urine to pour in these burns. They look at fluids from mothers to pour on this wound. They use I think it's called transformer oil, and then people use, somebody told us they use lion's body oil. They use fur from rabbits to cover these wounds. So a lot of things that we are using to cover this wound, but you don't need those things like we mentioned before. Just water is enough. Like doctor said, those things, especially when they come with the oil shining all over this wound, and these wounds get infected, they go so deep, and the child or the person that is burnt gets a very bad scar. It delays the wound to heal, and sometimes it even makes the wound more extensive. But if you pour water, instead of covering a whole thigh, you might find most of it will heal in a few days. Just cooling it will reduce pain. I know people who cook, when fire burns them, You run to water and you feel that it is better. That is cooling effect of water. It controls pain and it reduces how deep the fire will go. Viewers, will go for a short break, and when we come back, we shall be telling you more about what we do at Chirudo Hospital.
This message is from the Ministry of Health with support from partners.
You are watching the Doc Talk Show.
Shocking statistics on road crashes in Uganda show that there were over 23,608 road accidents in a single year, 2023. This highlights an increase of 16% compared to the previous year. The Uganda Traffic and Road Safety Report of 2023 also shows that there were 24,728 casualties from road crashes, with 4,806 people dead, 16,736 seriously injured, and 3,186 escaping with minor injuries. The rampant increase in the number of road crashes and casualties in Uganda is seriously alarming. According to Uganda Police Traffic Report, 80% of road crashes in Uganda are as a result of speeding, reckless driving, and violation of traffic rules and regulations. Your life and that of other road users matters. Every life taken or injured in a road crash is an emotional loss to a family, resource loss to a business, development contribution loss to a community, and a socio-economic loss to the nation. Join hands to